He has one more meeting. There's some seconds.
Yeah.
Check.
Yep, mine just turned. Nathan, we ready?
Well, we were, and then Jen's camera turned off, so I'm not sure whether she's having difficulties or what. But other than that, yeah, we're ready.
We'll call the
Here she is.
Columbia City Plan Commission regular meeting to order and have roll call, please.
Chip Hill,
Yes.
John Kissinger,
Yes.
Sean Langeloh,
Here.
Jennifer Romano,
Here.
Nicki Venable,
Here.
Dennis Warnick,
Here.
Dan Weigold,
Say here.
Here, I'm sorry.
Larry Weiss, Patrick Zickgraf.
Here. Consideration and adoption of the previous meeting minutes.
I move they be approved as distributed.
Second.
A motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, motion carried. Administration of oath to witnesses. If you wish to speak tonight, you can stand and our counsel will swear you.
Okay, just over here. Do you solemnly swear that any information you give this commission this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do.
Nathan, any old business tonight?
No.
Okay. New business 24-C-REZ-3. Kilgore Manufacturing Company Incorporated and Line Street Properties LLC request amendments to the Columbia City zoning map to reclassify a .17 acre property from the R2 two-family residential district and a .71 acre property from the R3 multifamily residential district to the I1 light industrial district. The subject properties are 502 South Line Street, located on the southwest corner of Diamond Avenue and Line Street, and 502, 506, and 508 South Chauncey Street, located on the southwest corner of Vine Street and Chauncey Street. So Nathan, if you give us the staff report.
Sure thing, Mr. President. So, getting that up on the screen. As you said, that this is located on South Line Street and South Chauncey Street. The property is zoned both R2 and R3, so R2 two-family, R3 multifamily. Total acreage of about 0.88 acres to be rezoned. The petitioner would own, or does own, approximately 1.8 acres total among all the different parcels, including what is already zoned I1 industrial. Being requested to rezone this to I1. The initial purpose is for the construction of a storage building on the Line Street parcel with the allowance for future expansion on the South Chauncey Street parcel. Petitioner has already indicated that it may make sense more just to go forward with the facility expansion, depending on what the need is, costs, and so on, rather than doing a storage building and then an expansion. So not exactly 100% sure, but that is the current plan, is to do the storage building on Line Street first. The table there is kind of extensive because we do have the two different parcels, both being rezoned to I1. That's why we can do this in one petition. It's the same requested land use. Various surrounding zonings and land uses. You have a mix of residential, you have businesses, you have industrial, you have a vacant property to the south that used to be Cardinal Grain, which is now the City Redevelopment Commission owns it. You have Line Street, you've got the railroad track, you've got the Blue River off to the far east side, all very tightly wound into this fairly small area of only a handful of acres. Which you can see here on the aerial view. Highlighted in blue are the petitioner's parcels that are subject to the rezoning request, and then in the dead center there is the petitioner's main facility, the existing facility located right here. Closer view for a little bit of reference. Again, to the east of Chauncey Street is Smith Brothers Towing and Industrial, so it's storage, outdoor storage, industrial. And then you do have homes to the south along Chauncey Street. The petitioner actually owns one home, which is currently vacant, as I understand it. You have homes to the north of Vine Street. You've got industrial areas as well to the west, then west of Line Street, and homes along Line Street down to the railroad track. So again, definitely a mix of uses. You have this oblique view here, again for reference. Zoning map, the yellows, the cream and orange colors are your yellow, cream, and orange are your residential districts, red is commercial, and the light gray, almost white, is industrial. So again, definite mix of uses here. You even have a little bit of LB there at the very bottom of the screen, which we don't have that many LB districts in town. So right there is actually local business. Closer view as well. Comprehensive plan, future land use map, which actually zoomed in on this. For the most part, it appears that the comprehensive plans future land use map generally just reflected the existing zoning, the existing land uses, doesn't really give any indication for any future change. That said, when you do have a mix of uses, the Plan Commission and City Council have some discretion to make some interpretation about where those lines are, expansion possibilities, contraction, and so on as requests such as this come forward. The 2024 Downtown Revitalization Plan does include this area in one aspect. Most of it is north of Vine Street on up through downtown on up to Jefferson Street. However, it does include this area south of Vine Street down to the railroad track as a proposed square south district is what it calls it. And I highlighted this area in blue here. In the text, it says that this would need to be figured out. This is a district that has future importance. Doesn't really give a lot of indication as to what that would be. The trail does go along Line Street, so the trail on down to the high school would tie into this. But again, the downtown plan, other than recognizing its importance for future development of some sort, doesn't really give a lot of detail as to exactly what that is. So this too is a supplement to the comprehensive plan, so this too would need to be paid reasonable regard as you do with the rest of the comprehensive plan. So going to the criteria, hopefully you've had a chance to read my comments in the written staff report. I already hit on the comp plan component of it. Current conditions, same thing. This is a definite mix of uses throughout the area. Most desirable use, this is an interesting one because you have an existing business that wants to expand. You have the desirability for industrial already proven because it's been industrial since the 1900s. I could find records back to the 19 teens of this being some sort of industrial. But then the expansion component, whether that's desirable, is definitely a question. Or is there a more appropriate use? Again, that idea of a south downtown district that may be coming in the future, what does that look like? Could that include industrial? Maybe, maybe not. So desirable is definitely something to give some consideration to. Conservation of property values, usually when we have rezonings for the idea of expansion or investment, I typically say that conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction is upheld, and I do that here, however, with the caveat that if this expansion jeopardizes whatever that future development may look like and disrupts that future plan, then perhaps this would be a rare instance that investment may actually be counter to what we want to see in the future. But would that affect the jurisdiction as a whole, which is what the criteria is? It's a really good question. And then finally, responsible growth and development. Again, in terms of expanding the industrial, there's not much of any concern in terms of growth and development. Actually, allowing for expansion onto Chauncey Street would most likely relieve some of the truck traffic that's along Line Street that currently exists by moving some of the truck docks. So that actually would be a positive thing. But again, the idea of the overall plan for the city and what the overall growth and development for the area, the redevelopment commission's property to the south, Smith Brothers, the Line Street Trail, and so on, all of this is part of this overall area. So how does what's being requested fit into the overall picture for the city now and going into the future? Economic development is a positive, but you also have to counter with what other types of economic development may be occurring to be planned for. So this isn't completely clear-cut, although it feels like it could be, but I feel like there should be some discussion to weigh out some of these points. So with that, any questions for me?
Okay. Those in favor of this, or if you want to come present your project, your name and address, please.
Yeah, we're just looking at possibilities. I mean, our building at 445 South Line is pretty much at max capacity. We don't have hardly any square footage here to expand. The 507 South Line has very little room to expand. So we wanted to step forward and try to get this zoning in place as we continue to grow. Because when we moved in there in 2011, we were like 27 employees. We're at like 65 employees today, running 3 shifts. And we just wanted to get this in place for potential future opportunity of, as was mentioned, where is the best place to possibly expand? Is it back off of Chauncey or is it over on Line Street? Just having those options to look at that going forward. So.
Okay. Can we have your name and address just for
John Hicks, 445 South Line is Kilgore Manufacturing.
Okay. Questions?
This small piece of R3 that's being omitted along Vine Street, are you in any way affected or with how that is not part of your relocation? Or,
I mean, obviously, it would be nice to have that for sure. I've approached the gentleman that owns S&W Electric back there, and he pretty much said if he had a place to go, he would consider selling it. Is he just holding out and, going to hold me hostage? Probably, but, hey, it's business, right? But he still has that parcel. Obviously, we could work around it, but it wouldn't be ideal. It would be ideal to have that section as well.
I suppose that would be a separate, if in the event he would acquire that, we would have a separate zoning change. It couldn't be included in this because that property owner is not participating in this.
Right, it would be cleanest if we did not include it.
Okay.
By statute, most likely you could, but we would have to amend the petition at this point and so on, and we'd have to delay his request. So theoretically, it could be possible, but I don't recommend doing so.
Okay.
If you would build this building, would you take away from the other buildings and make it big enough? Or are you gonna just continue?
We would put it, ideally it'd be like a clear span building. So we're a contract manufacturer. We have a lot of like Swiss style machines. So they have 12-foot bar loaders and then the machine centers. And that's what we would put in the new area that we expanded into, because that's where we see the most growth. So.
Would it look like a trucking company spot or whatever you do, or a little manufacturing, or?
We definitely would look at unloading our materials,
Yeah.
Off of Line Street. We have the trucks when they come in. We make sure our materials are on the passenger side if they're heading north. So that way our fork truck's always between the truck and the building.
Yeah.
But Line Street with the high school, the traffic, it's a lot busier than it used to be. So we trying to get those trucks off of those streets would be ideal. So.
Does Diamond Avenue or whatever they call it there, does that run into where you're gonna build? You got a place there now already, right?
Off of Diamond, it's just the small lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's worth, or if I should disclose this right now, but I'm also looking at the building that Horizon has listed. It's the building, it would be to the west, across that alley, that one right there. And I think we're going to acquire that lot and that parcel, and actually looking at that being a potential building site instead of maybe back on Chauncey. And then there may be opportunities to get those trucks completely off of Diamond and everything and do the unloading and loading between those parcels. But that's still not a fixed
If
opportunity right now.
they were thinking of, the city's thinking about dressing that area up.
We would take that building, if we get things finalized, we would take the building on that Horizon has listed. We would take that building down and put a new building up there.
Yeah.
So
They should work with them to be the first ones to look, when you pull down into that area, looks like when you go back Diamond a ways to the back, further you go back, the worse it gets.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we could use the lot up front more for parking.
Yeah.
Additional parking.
That's gonna be something too.
That we would take that garage down and clean that up.
I guess I don't have a question. I guess mine's more of a comment, because just looking up 99.9% of the time, I'm always supporting existing businesses and helping them grow and be more productive. And I'm just looking at this area. I know we've been trying to figure out this city council and stuff. We've been trying to look at areas and how to dress up, especially that area.
Yes.
I'm not being mean to that area, but I know we're trying to figure out how to dress it up, make it a little more attractive to businesses and things. And I wish I had a crystal ball, to figure out what the redevelopment commission is looking at doing there. Every time we think we got it made, they come up with another test we got to run. So it's a little confusing, but I know there's been a lot of dreams for that property also, but it's all fantasy. There's nothing set in stone. But I think you got a great idea, and I think what you're going to do is make it look a lot better by dressing that up, even if it's manufacturing. I think you got a good thing going, and I'd hate to be not supporting something that's gonna make me prosper better as well as our community, so.
Yep.
I just, like I say, we've just been, you know, we got industrial on the side, I guess I don't have a problem with that personally.
And another thing was that a lot of the machines that are in the 445 building in the north building, they would go into the new facility as well as additional machines. And so we would be looking at also some of that parking on the north side of that building, maybe getting rid of some of that parking, and maybe we could dress up some of that area as well. And then the goal would be the new facility, because just laying it out a little bit nicer, making it a little nicer work environment, and then be able to attract people easier. Because I mean, labor is obviously a challenge. So we're looking at, okay, what can we throw in here to, you know, make people feel better when they walk in the door, you know, anything that can be added there. So.
Yeah, like I say, my only concern was talked about a little bit was the truck traffic.
Yeah.
Coming in and off. I've been down there a few times when things were trying to get moved in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand, but you know, it's always been, you've always done a really good job of policing that, so to speak, so.
Yeah, we try not to use the dock. We try to have the trucks pull off of the road.
Right.
Because I mean, if a truck tries to back in the dock, I mean, it's a nightmare. For one, you know, just getting it cranked around, but then also just dealing with traffic. So, and then even backing out, you know, on Line Street, you know, at the end of the day, you know, the workers backing out, you know, it's a very busy street. So if we can get more of that off of Line Street, it would be a better situation.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. It's your pleasure.
We have some.
Did you wish to speak?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. I just have a question for you, Nathan, and maybe for Chip. And when we're talking about redeveloping this location in Columbia City, are we talking about business development? Or are we looking at quality of life development? And if it's business development, I see exactly how this would coincide with it. But if we're also talking about quality of life development, how does that really play into that? Because that's a whole different situation.
Yes, it is.
So I'll give my 2 cents. It's been the mayor's and I's dream to develop it into apartments, you know, shopping, something like that, that extends off of downtown.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm going to go out on a limb. It's a double-edged sword where
Yes.
I don't want to pass up economic development
Exactly.
for a dream.
Yes.
I mean, right now we can capitalize on the economic development, and we have no issue with the, you know, the business. They're not in non-compliance with stuff. You know, it's like, it's a good business. So do we go after our dream, or do we go after what is there and tangible? And that's where I'm thinking it's not going to be an eyesore because it's already industrial.
Right.
And so, you know, would we like to clean up? Our intentions are to clean up Smith's, you know, as long as, if everything's done aesthetically, I think it shouldn't be an issue.
And that's why I asked, because if it's supposed to be more of a quality of life, then that's not fair to our petitioner that's here today to say, oh, this is wonderful, let's go ahead with it. And then 5 years down the road, when that pie in the sky comes up and the opportunity happens, then we're looking at you saying, hey, well, you got to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to him. So.
Yeah, I don't think, you know, that we could chase that pie in the sky forever. We don't know. As we talk a lot about it, a lot of these properties on the south side are rentals. So, I mean, for us to even acquire these are a shot in the dark, you know. And so I would hate to have to say, no, we're passing up, you know, he said his growth, 37 to 65 employees. I mean, that's employees that we're taking money out of their hands if we say no. So that kind of, I look at that and go, yeah, we need to do this.
I just wanted it to be part of this conversation so that if it happens in the future, you can come back to this recording and say.
And actually, ideally, if we would go back off of Diamond, and then we left that parking area.
Yeah.
I mean, that could, I used to have rentals, so I mean, I always thought too, that could be a rental unit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, it's not a dead spot, you know,
it has potential to do.
Yeah, so I've debated it. This was brought to our attention a couple of weeks ago, and I've debated it in my head, and I'm like, what is, you know, you can wish in one hand and want the other, and it's, you know, and so that's kind of been my philosophy on it. So I'm in favor of it.
I just wanted there to be that discussion so that it does protect the petitioner today, so.
And Nathan, you said this area had been over 100 years industrial.
The current facility along Line Street's been that long. The west side of Line Street has been that long. The west side of Chauncey Street has been residential right up until the petitioners acquired it only a handful of years ago. There were houses here up until its ownership, so it's been a very tight mix for a long time. And I would say it actually is an interesting case of everything has coexisted for a long time in a fairly decent way. None of the residential has really gone out. None of the industrial has really created issues. So kind of unique in that way.
Other counties have communities that have had historical industrial locations for the time that it's been inception. And when city comes into play and they are looking at something different, we've seen where the redevelopment has changed the entire landscape. And that's why, just wanted to make sure what the city's intentions were.
You know, you gotta look at that too, that addition that Ideal built further down south. Now you got in between, you got the dog thing, and then you got the county highway, and you got the trash deal there. So I mean, they were smart enough to take it away from there as far as they could, and that's what you would have to do here, because that's going that way. So you got to focus if you're going to go. You're going to go to the west, and to the end of Diamond, and that whole area to go.
I know we're in the middle of we've closed the public portion, but I do have a question for the petitioner. You know, these other lots along the Chauncey area, how's your communication been with those landlords, or have they shown any interest? Okay.
I'm not sure who the landlords of some of those properties are, so I mean, we've had no conversations with them.
Okay. Just curious where that's at. Okay, that's it.
And I believe all of those houses, correct me if I'm wrong, Amanda, but all of those houses received mailed notice.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm ready for one.
Okay. Jen, you were unmuted there. Did you have something to say as well?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of say that I agree with Dan and also with Chip about the city's perspective on this. Obviously, you know, we have things that we want to do and concerns about the way that things look, especially since the south part of our city is now becoming more and more important visually. But I guess also to say too that that area is pretty hodgepodge as it is. So the idea of one business owning a lot of it is a potentially good thing as far as I'm concerned, because maybe then there could be some consistency in the look of those buildings and the care given to them also. So I guess that's my feeling on that. Also, I think, you know, it's probably wise to go with something that's able to happen now and still be able to work around it in the future if we want to do some other things in areas that are surrounding that. But we can't sit around on our hands and wait forever for ideas that, you know, may or may not happen.
One of the things probably irrelevant is, and maybe some of you know, some of you don't, but the Kilgores, they own the building on 445 South Line. And they have bought a condo in Florida. They're actually having a trade auction. And we are buying that building, and so gives us more opportunity to do improvements, you know, outside as well, because of those part of our private companies.
Yep.
If you're ready, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a favorable recommendation to the City Council.
Second.
Get a motion and a second to send a favorable recommendation to City Council. We'll need a roll call vote, please, since Jennifer's on.
Chip?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Nikki?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And if any of you ever want to stop in and see what we do,
Okay. Thank you for that.
we're in the town, you know, with the city.
The last time I was in that building, Passages owned it, so
Okay.
that was a few years ago. Other business.
First item is electronic meeting packets. John, you can hang out if you want, or you can take off.
Thank you for coming.
Yep.
Starting in 2025, at least for the city and county, we're going to try really, really hard not to make hard copies and mail hard copies out of meeting packets. Looking at just the pure costs of what we have invested in mailing out packets, it's basically an hour's worth of staff time, so salaries for us. Just the cost in postage and printing for the Plan Commission members, not including any that may go out to petitioners, legal counsel, and so on. So just the 9 members, it's about $19 in postage and printing. Color copies add up quickly. So between all of that, it winds up being about $450 annually that we spend. Not a lot, don't get me wrong, the cost really isn't the driving factor. It's the time taken. An hour is pretty critical for us, is the big thing. But between the two factors, that's why we're really pushing towards this. I will say South Whitley and Charbesco probably will stay hard copy for the foreseeable future, but they also have less meetings. You guys are averaging about 10 meetings per year. County Plan Commission is averaging 12. Actually, I think they average slightly more than 12, especially once you add in training sessions. So what we're proposing to do, as we've been doing, to make the packets available on our Google Drive. City Council uses Dropbox. I think Board of Works does too. Dropbox is great for them. Google Drive has different benefits for us, namely a little bit more space on the free account versus a paid account. Again, cost is still a factor in all of this. Additionally, important for you guys, materials are uploaded to the drive pretty much as they are received. Amanda typically is really good about scanning whatever we've received and then putting it both into our local directory as well as the shared account. So even if the staff report isn't ready, staff reports will still be on the same, basically a week ahead of time schedule. You could still check out whatever may be supplemental materials, maps and filing narratives and whatever else. So you may even be able to say, oh, we will have a meeting next month because there's a case that's been filed well in advance of the next meeting. What we will do is still email out notice about a week ahead of time when both the agenda is finalized and the staff reports are done, saying, hey, everything is now available on the drive for you to look at. So that's our goal, and I know that this will still be a learning curve. If you need to have a hard copy for some reason, let us know. We will still make hard copies, but we won't mail them out unless we absolutely have to. So if you need a hard copy, plan on picking it up. Still happy to do that. Printing costs are still something for you guys as members. Just the overall goal is to reduce the amount of paper, the amount of printing, the amount of investment in, amount of postage, the amount of invested time in producing each one of these packets. So questions, thoughts, anything like that?
When the email is sent out to notify us, who, regardless of who's sending it out, whether it's Amanda or you or someone else in the office, that there be the connection there to go to the Google Drive.
We will work out a standardized format for that. So Amanda and I are discussing how best to do that. Amanda, are you comfortable in kind of giving some ideas or?
Well, my plan was just to make a document that has the links in it, and then when I email you, I'll just attach that. So just be that would be easier for me to just have that attachment and then to type it into the body of the email.
Okay.
I know that the short URL, the one that's like tinyurl.com/cc plan commission or something like that, because tinyurl can be used to mask malicious websites. Some hosts block that, including the city. So I know Chip has had issues, the mayor has had issues. So in lieu of that, we also send out the full Google Drive link, which is about, 60 some characters long, and that's, I don't blame Amanda for not wanting to retype that.
You just missed one in there.
If we can figure out another way to shorten.
Why am I looking at this paperwork from Spokane?
If we can figure out another way to shorten the URL, we will. The county website has that ability, but for whatever reason, it's not functional. So we'll try and figure out another way. But right now, it'll be either of the two URLs should direct you there, even if the short one that's easy to type is for some reason blocked.
Okay.
Is the county thinking about going to free public Wi-Fi so we could access that while we are in these chambers?
There is guest Wi-Fi. I can give you the Wi-Fi access password. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry,
our cell service is terrible, so I can't run a hotspot down here. Then I can't access because I don't have any outside to rural communications. I just was concerned. I know it's been an initiative of the city is to provide free Wi-Fi for all their residents, and I didn't know how the county felt about that.
Well, we're located in Columbia City, so we're glad for that.
Well, that down in the basement, though.
Just until that does happen, you can download it from home onto your system and then pull it up beautifully. Then, just something to hold you over until that happens.
Okay.
But in seriousness, we can give you the guest access password for the guest Wi-Fi down here. I will also say that it is somewhat spotty because we're in a basement.
Okay. I was just questioning.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
I appreciate that, and we will make that happen for you.
We raised the basement?
We could move these over to City Hall.
Next item.
Okay.
And
on that note, okay. So the last thing is legal counsel recognition. Dawn has put in her resignation notice. 20 years of service for the Plan Commission and BZA. So I put a copy of snippet of the January 3rd, 2005 Plan Commission meeting up there. Mr. Weiss, welcome Don Boyd, newly appointed attorney for the Columbia City Plan Commission, Columbia City Board of Zoning Appeals. So Ms. Boyd is an associate with Myers, Tyson, Hockmeyer, and McNagny. So she's gotten tired of night meetings after 20 years. And the 2025 Legal Counsel appointments, Cohen Reimers, who's in the audience tonight, is with Myers, Hockmeyer, and McNagny. And so he will be the Plan Commission attorney starting in January, and then Greg Hockmeyer will take over for the DZA. Didn't want to throw Cohen totally to the wolves by giving them both at the same time. But Greg also has another meeting the same night as the DZA meeting, so it made sense. He was already going to be in town. So yes, want to say thank you, Don. So.
Well, thank you.
Don, you'll certainly be missed, and we wish you nothing but
Well,
the
I
best.
appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, and it's been a pleasure working with all of you, and can't believe it's been 20 years. Hard to believe.
You said it was, and
Yeah,
you
it
were
was 20 years.
right on.
Yep. So.
And if you do miss us, you can always log on.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Well, now you've got a new Hockmeyer associate, Colin Reimers, and
Welcome, Colin.
so he'll continue the tradition.
Great. Anything else?
That is it from me. Good Christmas and
I have some
holidays.
things I gotta get rid of. I've been trying to do fundraising, and I ain't had any luck. So so as a compliment for the holidays, I've got 2 bags of peanuts for everybody, and I've got free appetizer cards that you each get 2, and this is all in coordination through the Lions Club and Texas Roadhouse. And rather than me being stuck with all this stuff, and the expiration date on these is the end of January, I figured we'll just pass them out and get rid of them. I mean, it's all paid for, so. But I'm just giving you guys some holiday treats.
That's holiday spirit.
Stay off of my grass.
I'm Jennifer gonna get hers.
She'll show up. So anyway, on that note, I guess you can call for your adjournment.
So,
We adjourn.
Second.
motion and second.
Thank you.
Those in favor of adjourning? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry, I hurt you now.
Thanks, Jen.
Well, I figured Buddy was working hard on it.